It's like a Three Stooges skit. Hey, I'm Taylor with Brothers on the Side. Today we've got a whole day ahead of us as we put in a whole home filtration system. We've got to hook up the inlet, the outlet, the bypass, and the sediment filter. Let's get started. All right, so the plan today is we're gonna go ahead and prefab everything down here. And all that means is I'm gonna work from the bottom to the top because I don't wanna interrupt the customer's water until we have to. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run straight up this wall here, using as much support as I can because the filter alone is gonna be in a massive amount of weight. So we wanna screw directly into the studs. We're gonna come straight up, run through my joist so we can have as much support as possible and make sure that we're not crossing over our lines. First things first, we're going to hand tighten all of the pieces that come with the filter. So we have our bypass assembly here. We've got inlet on the left, outlet on the right. You can tell by looking at the top of the tank, you're looking for the riser label. That's gonna be your inlet. On these, they have a split plastic washer and an O-ring. Make sure both are in place. And then they go straight on, push through, and just hand tightened. No need to worry about Teflon or pipe dope because these have our washers and O-rings inside. It's gonna keep a tight seal. From there, we've got our adapters. Again, we've got one nut, one plastic split washer, and an O-ring. These are gonna go on the back side of our check valve assembly on both sides. All right, we're nice and snug. From this point on, everything needs Teflon and pipe dope because nothing else has O-rings from here. We're gonna start today with our inlet because it needs to be the furthest towards the wall and I wanna be out of my own way. Get our thread sealant put on. Now that we've got our thread sealant on there, let's go ahead and put on our PEX adapter. So I wanna start by just hand tightening this because the last thing I wanna do is cross thread it, pop one of my threads and have to get a whole new adapter. Then I'm just gonna snug it up with my channel locks, nice and easy. Now that we've got our adapter on there, we're gonna go ahead and deburr and measure with SharkBite's depth finding tool. So the lower lip here will be for our SharkBite Max fittings, and the one on the back that's a little higher is gonna be for any first-gen SharkBite that you're finding still out there. I wanna make sure this is completely deburred, and I'm gonna take my Sharpie and mark the depth. We're gonna do that for every single SharkBite fitting today. We're gonna make sure it goes all the way to depth, there's no burrs, and this thing has a tight seal. So you'll see, we've got our makeup mark all the way down to the collar of the SharkBite fitting. We know we're good, we know we're tight. So let's move on to our reducer. We're dealing with a 3/4 inch system. This thing comes ready for 1-inch pipe. So all we're gonna do is, again, make sure we're deburred, make sure we find our depth, and get our SharkBite Max reducer on there. Good into depth. So let's get the thing back where it needs to go and start running our inlet system. So what I like most about this deburring and depth finding tool is that I've got 1-inch, 3/4, and half all on the same piece of equipment. So I don't have to keep switching and finding new things every time I go to a different size pipe. So from here, we're gonna go ahead and get our ball valves in. I'm gonna go 1 foot up from our fitting for the start of my ball valve so it can be reached from the ground without a ladder. Again, it's important to do this on every fitting because I don't want any burrs or anything sharp that's going to tear the O-ring inside of the SharkBite fitting. All right, we are to depth and we're ready to continue. So from here, we wanna run our inlet just through the joist here and make sure everything's nice and supported. Again, we're running the inlet first because I'm gonna have to run it further back to keep my lines from crossing over each other. I just wanna make sure everything is supported, this thing flows correctly, and it looks good for our customer. Let's start drilling, get our pipes ran. We're gonna run our inlet line just to the inside of this joist here so I have somewhere to attach my supports. We're gonna run it through after the PRV to ensure our water filter system doesn't get too much pressure and tie in with a SharkBite Max T just after the PRV. All the way to makeup. All the way to makeup. Caleb, grab me a hammer and 1 pipe clamp. Bend that out of our way. We're gonna hold there for now until we're ready for the tie-in. Let's get started on the outlet. All right, so we've got the inlet ran at least to the tie-in point, so we're gonna get started on the outlet. This process starts the exact same as the other one with Teflon tape and pipe dope to ensure we have a watertight seal. Making sure we're nice and snug, but not overdoing it so we're not breaking plastic threads. All the way to makeup, all the way to makeup. That's cool. While I put this in, go ahead and prefab the sediment filter. All right, so it turns out I completely forgot this needs a drain before the sediment filter in case the sediment filter ever needs to be changed. So we're gonna go ahead and secure it to the wall. I'm gonna go ahead and install my 1/2 inch, run it over to it so it can show me where the center of the T needs to be. We'll mark makeup, cut, deburr, and continue running. Thank you, sir. Boom. All the way to depth for our 90. We'll get it placed in here, check the depth again. Good to go. The reason we're using 1/2 inch here is because I forgot there needed to be a drain before the sediment filter. I happen to have a 1/2 inch ball valve in my truck, also from SharkBite. I know it's gonna work, so I just stick on my 3/4 by 1/2 T and we'll have our drain running in no time. All the way in, all the way in. We are in, and we are in. All right, next step is to get our sediment filter hung. Let's go ahead and ensure that we're level, because if we're putting this much work into it, it might as well look good. All right, take your side up. We are gonna need a jam piece on this one. Definitely make sure I deburr this one and make sure my depth is perfect, because with these fittings being so close, I want to ensure a tight seal. I don't ever want to just leave it up to luck or chance. That's why I like my measurement tool here. All right, so we were getting a little too tight between my outlet supply and my sediment filter. The good thing about PEX is it's flexible and it's not going to burst. It's not rigid like copper and it's not so fragile like CPVC. So we're able to actually slide over and gain an extra 2 inches so we can have the room in between our 90 and our sediment filter. That way everything goes in good. We can ensure proper makeup everywhere and we can make sure we have no leaks, no drips. All the way to makeup. 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 Makeup to makeup. All right, let's get this outlet in the ceiling. Find makeup. We're all the way to depth and all the way to depth. Good to go. To depth on both. Good cut. Make sure. All right. Golly. We have our inlet and our outlet ran into the ceiling and through the joists. What we have to do next is turn off the water to the house, drain the system, and go ahead and get our bypass put in and get our T's tied into the main. Let's do it. Water is off. Let's go turn on a hose bib and open some sinks. We're gonna open the hose bib because it's the lowest point in the system, so we can have all the cold water drained to here. We've got our faucet open inside so that we don't create an airlock on the system. It's the same thing as holding your thumb over a straw. We've got to remove that thumb so the water will flow out freely. We can drain this and not get the inside of the basement covered in water. I don't like the look of all this green on the copper here. It's electrolysis. Typically, when you see a lot of electrolysis on a pipe, it leads to pinhole leaks. And if I'm gonna put my name on this, we're just gonna go ahead and redo it with new pipe. So we'll cut it, we'll take this out and go back with a new PEX male adapter. I'm gonna go ahead and make a cut in our system back here. I don't want any excess water leaking into the customer's lights. So we'll cut it, take out the male adapter, and then make the cut in our makeup. All right, male adapter, pipe dope, tape. Just because this is copper doesn't mean that it doesn't need deburring and depth finding still. It's important no matter what pipe that I'm putting into the SharkBite fitting to make sure that I don't have any burrs, sharp edges, and that I can be extra sure that I'm all the way to the makeup. Take the guesswork right out of it. All right, we'll go on with our T. And all the way to makeup. And all the way to makeup. Hand me another 3/4 straight T. Double check all the way to our makeup. Good to go. And to our makeup. Good to go. All right, we are at makeup. All the way to makeup. Looks like we're good to go. All right, so we've got the water back on. Because I have a new ball valve here, we're able to isolate the rest of the house from the system. So what we did was we went ahead and installed a bypass. So how this works is when these valves are off, my filter's dead. I can open up our main ball valve right here and we can run from the PRV to the rest of the house. No issue, skip the filter completely. We would do that if this needed to be maintained or serviced. The house will regularly operate. It will come out of our first T here, get diverted into our water filter down through our riser line, come back out, hit the sediment filter and tie right back into our system, completely diverting from this main line here. 99% of the time, all the water is going to be diverted through our filter. They're going to have nice, clean, soft water for their house. And if this ever needs to be maintained, they can continue with unfiltered water until this job is complete. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to crack this open, keep the main shut. We're going to fill this to the brim with water because all of the filters in this system actually have to soak for 48 hours. If you soak it for 48 hours first, you have less carbon coming out of all the aerators of the sinks and into the water system of the house. So we want to let it soak, come back after 48 hours, drain our system, refill it, turn the whole system on, air out the customer's lines, and make sure she's good to go. Let's go ahead and fill this thing so it can start to soak. I'm going to open the main valve on my bypass assembly and then go ahead and slowly open the ball valve that we placed in. And once the system gets full pressure, I know we're full and ready to let it sit for 48 hours. All right, so that will be the water filter unit pressurized. It means we're slap full of water and I got it turned off on the outlet so we can't reintroduce that into the homeowner's water system as is. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is shut our bypass valves, both of them. And now we'll get back on, turn the main on at our ball valve and completely bypass this unit for the next 48 hours. When I come back, we'll flush the system and the customer can start enjoying their filtered, softer water. All right. While that system continues to fill, I'm going to have Caleb get up here and put on all of my pipe supports while I go around and get the rest of the air out of the customer sinks. Let's get it done. All right, guys, so that'll do it. We've got the system piped up, we're cleaned up, we're ready to get out of here. Now, this is going to sit for the next 48 hours. We'll come back in 2 days, flush this system, refill it, and teach the homeowner how to use it so she can start enjoying the benefits of her whole home water filtration system. We'll see you in a couple days. All right, guys, it's been 48 hours. We've come back to the house. It's time to flush out all this excess carbon. I'm gonna bring in a garden hose and hook it up to our new drain here. Open up our bypass valves on the unit, slowly turn on our water inlet. That's gonna come up, drain out of our garden hose and keep any excess carbon from getting into our sediment filter. Once that's clean and the water runs clear, we'll come back in, turn off the bypass, and then as soon as I flip our last valve here, there will be getting 100% filtered water to every fixture in the house. Let's get after it. All right. Open our bypass valves. All right. Let's go give it a look. So this is what we're looking for. All of this black here is the excess carbon washing out of the filter system. So we're gonna run it till it goes clean and then we'll turn the filter on. All right, guys. I'd call this nice and clear. We'll get back in and get our system turned on now. Let's get our drain shut off. Go ahead and fill the sediment tank. Turn off the bypass. All right, we've got our outlet turned on. It ties right back into our main system and flows throughout the rest of the house. Not as complicated as a project as I was afraid of. Thankfully, we were able to get in here with our SharkBite Max fittings, push connect all the way. Nothing's leaking. We've got great sills, and our customer now has fully filtered water going to every fixture in the house. That's it for this job. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.